To get started on this walking person project, the first thing that you need to have already completed is the design for your character. Now this character of course needs to have all of the different body parts for the legs, the feet, the hands and arms, a torso, and a head. It also needs to have some sort of secondary action that they're going to complete. And in my case, he's going to be carrying a guitar on his shoulder and also tossing a coin in the air and catching it. So if you have to draw off any extra parts, make sure those are drawn off now as well so that we can save everything all at once. Another thing to note is that you don't have to use Adobe Illustrator to create your design. As long as you can break up all the different parts of your character and save them as separate PNG files, this process will work out. Now if you are using Adobe Illustrator, let me show you the quickest and easiest way to save your file. The first thing that I've done is to separate all of the different parts of my character so that they're easily selectable, and I also try to orient them so that they're straight up and down and nice and vertical. In order to save these as high quality PNGs, there's two different methods you could use. You can always select an object and go up to File and down to Save or Export Selection. A faster way, however, would be to go and open your Asset Export window. If you don't see it, you can go up to Window and select Asset Export, and this will open up this window. You can see I've already collected all of my assets into here. What this will allow you to do is to quickly save each little part and then later on export them as PNG. Let me show you how I'm going to do this for the right arm. All you have to do is to select your object, drag it into this here, and then you can double click and rename it. When you rename each of these, make sure to give it something descriptive. So this would be my right upper arm. Let's do the same for the lower arm. So this will be the right lower arm. And we can do the right hand. Once you have all of the different body parts saved as your asset export window, you can select all of them by clicking on the first one, hold down Shift, and click on the last. This will get all of them highlighted. And at the very bottom, make sure you set your format to be PNG 8. Also, if you find that your images are too small and turn out blurry later on, you can change the scaling of it. For now, I'm going to keep my scaling at 1x. But when you start to assemble yours in Animate and you find that they're blurry or low quality pixelated, you may want to increase their scale up to 2 or 3 times until you get a high quality PNG. Once you've got both of these set, you can hit Export. This will ask you where do you want to save everything. I'm going to save mine to the desktop, and I'm going to call them All Body Parts inside of this folder. When I choose this folder, this is going to export everything inside of a subfolder. So I should have on my desktop now a new folder called All Body Parts. Since I saved it at 1x scale, everything is inside of here and everything is automatically named exactly the way it should be. So whether you're working in Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, you should always save your individual body parts as a separate file, and it needs to be a high quality PNG file. With everything designed and saved up, let's jump into Adobe Animate and create our new document. I'm going to choose Create New. Now there is no specific size that I'm looking for this particular project. You can set it to be any one of the preset sizes. However, to make it simple for the scrolling effect, I'm going to set my width and height to be exactly the same. I'm going to make them both 1080 by 1080. Set your frame rate to be 24 frames per second, and we'll keep it at Action Script 3. When you create your document, this will give everything nice and set up and ready to go. I'm going to zoom out so I can see my entire document. The first thing we need to do is to import all of those body parts and to save them as individual symbols as well. We'll go up to File, choose Import. Let's import everything to the stage. Can locate my new body parts. You can hold down Shift and select everything and say Open. Now when it brings it in, it's going to jumble them all together in the center of your document. And that's totally fine. And later on we can go back and we can scale everything down to be exactly the same. What I like to do first is to lay it all out so that you know exactly where all the body parts should go and that you're not missing anything or that you don't accidentally misname something. So take some time and place everything roughly where it should be. Let's place it up here. There's a foot. There's his hair and head. Make sure you got everything nice and accountable. And then finally, here's the coin. To save each individual part as a symbol, you can open your Libraries panel. You can see all the PNGs have been imported into your document. Now, before we start saving it, let's clean this up to make it a little bit easier and less confusing. I'm going to go down to the very bottom of my library and make a new folder, and I'm going to call this folder PNGs. This is where I can then select all of my images and place them inside that folder and get them out of the way. Now, all I need to do is to select each individual body part, and I can either hit F8 or I can right-click on it and choose Convert to Symbol. Be sure to name your symbol something nice and descriptive. So in our case, this is going to be the left upper arm. We'll say OK. Once it's saved as a symbol, you can see it's got the blue bounding box, and we can delete it away to keep it out of the way. Do the same for the next one. So select it, choose Convert to Symbol. This will be the left lower arm. Type is going to be a graphic. We'll say OK. Once it's been added to your library, you can then delete it away from the stage. Repeat this process for all of the different parts that you've created for your character's design. So this will be the left hand. Now that we've got all of the parts of the body saved as individual symbols, let's start assembling the appropriate parts together to create the limbs and the torso and the different parts of the overall body. Now to do this, we're going to go down to the bottom of your library panel and create a brand new symbol by clicking on the new symbol icon at the bottom. Give it a name, so I'm going to create the left arm. It's going to be a graphic, and we'll say OK. This will take you into your symbol editor. Now my left arm is composed of a hand, a lower, and an upper arm, so 3 different parts. All 3 parts need to have 3 different layers, so let's take it 1 layer at a time. This first layer can be my hand, so I've created it. Let's choose my left hand. There it is, and drag it on. Next, let's create a new layer. This will be my lower arm. Let's find the left lower arm and drag it on, roughly put it into place. And then finally, I need my upper arm. Let's find the left upper arm and place it on there too. With this done, now we need to position the rotation points for each individual symbol. Remember to use your free transform tool. With the free transform tool, you can select the central point and move it to where the part should naturally bend. So in this case, the upper arm will bend there. The lower arm, we're going to overlap it and connect it at the elbow. And then finally, the hand, we'll connect it right here and move this up to the wrist. Now that I've got the different parts of the body in the proper place and also proper rotation, return back to the timeline. Open parent mode, and let's link these together in the appropriate order. Now yours may be slightly different from what I have based on how you need to stack and order your layers. There we go. But I'm going to choose my hand and connect it to the lower arm, and the lower arm is going to be connected to the upper arm. At this time, you should always test out to see that they're nice and connected together and rotating properly. If there's any problem with the rotation and placement of things, make sure, to go back down to your parenting or your stacking order and rearrange where it needs to be until it does rotate accordingly and properly. With this left arm done, we can then go up to the very top and return to our main scene. Let's do the same thing now for the left leg. Again, create a new symbol. This brand new symbol is going to be the left leg. And everything that we have for that leg needs to have its own layer. So let's start off with the foot. Rename that layer. Let's choose the left foot. There it is. Create a new layer. Left lower leg. Choose the left lower leg. And then finally the upper leg. And this will be the left upper leg. You can see now why it's very important to properly name everything as you place it in here too. Now that they're on their own separate layers, let's use our free transform tool and place our rotation point for each individual part. Put the leg into place. Put this right at the ankle. For this one, I'm going to do something a little different. I want this to be on top of my upper leg. So I'm going to change up the stacking order for these two so that I can see that little part sticking out. Now when I go into parent mode, I need to be careful and know where I'm connecting it. The foot, in this case, needs to go to the lower leg, which is up here, and the lower leg needs to be connected to the upper leg. So my parenting structure should look like this. Once we're finished, you can return back to your main scene and repeat this process for your right side and also your body and any other parts that you need to link together. All right, now that we have all of the individual body parts assembled together for the limbs and the torso, let's pull those all together and make one complete character. So once again, before we place anything on our main timeline, let's create one more new symbol. And I'm simply going to call this the complete body. We'll say OK. Just like we did with all of the others, everything needs to have its own individual layer. I like to start off by placing the body first, or the torso. We'll zoom out so I can see it. Then we can add on the left side, so this will be the left leg. Place it where it needs to be. Let's do the left arm. Place it where it needs to be. And then below, since everything on the right side is behind the body, we're going to make a new layer and place that below that body layer. This will be the right leg. Place it on there roughly where it needs to be. That looks good. And then finally, below all of that will be the right arm. If it helps you to turn off visibility of the body to place things exactly where they need to go, that also comes in handy, and you are welcome to do that too. With everything in place, again, let's go to our free transform tool and make sure to set the rotation point to be where it naturally should fall on your character. In this case, if it was the shoulder of the arm, I'm going to turn off my body to make sure it's on the right spot. Make sure that rotation point is right there at the shoulder. For my front arm, set the rotation at the shoulder as well. For the leg, we're going to put it at the hip. For the back leg, again, I'm going to turn off visibility of this leg so I can set it at the hip. And then finally for the body, rotation point needs to be at the hips as well, so you can bend forward. Now that we've got our rotation points set, let's open up parent mode for this symbol, and let's connect all of these to the body. So the left and right arms and legs are all connected to that body layer. From here, we can then go back to our main timeline. And since this is where all the action is going to take place, let's go ahead and place our completed body character onto here. And if you need to, you can scale him down and position him right where you want him to be. In my case, I'm going to put him right in this position too. While I'm here, I'm going to rename this one my character, layer. And if you haven't saved, now's a good time to save your Animate file. So this will be the end of part 1 for this project of just setting up and getting your character ready to animate. In the next part, we're going to deal with setting up the different positions to do his walk cycle.